Hello, I'm Colin Bradley. I'm going to show you how to do this fabulous cat portrait using Faber-Castell pastel pencils. Let me show you what's in the box. Now, slide that off and you'll see that we've got a magic box. Now this is my own special selection box that Faber puts together for me of 24 pastel pencils. Let's open it up and show you. 2 layers of 12. Just ease this out and put it in there. And what I'll do is I'll lift this up with my eraser so you can see it better. There we are. Make sure you can see them all. There you go. Fabulous. Now, I selected these many years ago, and I've done a lot of work with just the 12 pencils. There's 60 in the range, and obviously it's an advantage to get them all. But the idea of this is to show you how I can do a pastel pencil picture just using a few of the colours. In fact, let me just show you what I've got. I've got pencils here. These are the pencils I'm going to be using, taken from the selection of this box. I'm going to use 12, and I may possibly dip in for more. On the other hand, I may not use them all. I don't know yet. When you start a picture like this, you're never really sure just how many pencils you're going to need and what colour pencils you're going to need. Anyway, I think you're going to really enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy showing you. So let's get started, and I'll show you then what paper we're using and how to get the best possible results from our pencils, our paper, and the techniques I'm going to show you. Now, the paper I'm using for this is Pastel Matte. It's sand coloured Pastel Matte. I think it's going to be ideal. So I've got my 12 pencils, I've got my pastel paper, and now I've got a reference picture here which I'm going to follow quite closely, and I'm going to show you as we go along. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to tuck it in here and you can see what I'm going to be doing at all times. And I'm going to start the ball rolling with the white pencil. Now, the pastel pencil medium works best from my point of view, working from a light to dark basis. Sometimes I change that, sometimes I do it the other way around, but generally speaking, it's light to dark. So let me just show you how this is going to work out. Start with the light first, and in this case it's going to be the white. Like that. And this can go on fairly strong because what we want to do here is have a nice bright white. However, when you get into here, I'm going to change tact a bit. This time it's going to be lighter. One other little tip. It's quite possible for some of the pastel to smudge, or some of the oil from your hand can affect the paper if you're working like that. So what I usually do is put a piece of card or cartridge paper to protect the paper, and this is what I'm going to do now. Okay, so let's get this going. Work in the direction that we see the hair or fur lying in. Like that. Now, when we get down here, you can see we've got a little bit more colour involved. So let's just do that first of all, and I'll show you how we tackle that. Now, I'm using the white now as a base colour, and I should be putting some colour into that. And I'm dragging it to the edge of that. You can see on the reference picture, you can see that we've got black around here. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. Now I haven't made that solid. I have here, but I haven't here. And now I'm going to use a pink. And this pink, it's 131 in our Faber range. You don't want too much of this, just a little. I'm holding the pencil here very loosely because I don't want to put too much colour into it. That's the pink. And another colour I'm going to use is this grey. This is 273 in the Faber range. There's a little grey as well, just added to the pink. Same idea, nothing too strong. But you can see now we're very much representing that. Now, as we got this in our hand, what I'm also going to do is to go onto the outer edge of this. Now this is black, as you can see, but we don't put black on. It's very rare, if ever, I put black directly on to paper. It's my rule. It becomes much too harsh. So what we do, we put the grey on, and there'll be other colours as well. I'm going to be doing this too, so that we get a nice... Now I'm going to bring you a little bit closer now. I wanted to pull away so you can see like an overview of what I'm doing, but now I'm going to show you. I'm going to come a little closer as I finish this off. Now to continue that, grey around here. You don't have to press very hard when you're putting the base colours in. Now here, just there, I'm taking advantage of the paper. If you look at this, you'll see that it's got a kind of sandy looking addition to this. I'm still covering the paper, but I'm leaving some of it to show through. Now, that's too harsh a line. As you see, it graduates. So what we do here is pull the colour from here into the white. You might be looking and thinking, there's a bit of white up there, Colin. Yep. Well, I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Now the grey comes down to about there. It's best to be tentative to start off with, because certainly as you get more confident, you can start being a little more bold. Now we are going to be putting white back into this again. Bring the hairs back in a minute. But I want to show you something else now. This is what we call a colour shaper. Now you don't have to use it. If you haven't got one of these, don't worry about it. But if you can get hold of them, and you can, most art stores have got something similar to this. And we sell them in our art store as well. And what this does, it gives you a little bit more of a blend. I'll show you what I mean. See, that smooths it down a bit, so we don't have it quite so strong. And it also works in the same way here. It's almost like a paintbrush, but we're not using any water on here. There we are. That looks good to me. I'm just going to, again, I still have got just a little bit of that line being obvious, and I don't want that. I want the transfer or transition between here and here to be much better than that. So that now is really good. What about that little bit of white up there? Oh goodness me, well I better put it in, hadn't I? You can put, because we're using pastel matte, the pastel matte paper allows you to put colour like that in. That's all I want at the moment. And now the big guns, black. You've got to be careful with this. Nothing too strong. I'm just going to do that as I see it on the reference picture. There we are. Now the black. I've got to be careful here. It's so easy to overdo the black, and you don't need to at all. So be very tentative. Come down here. As we get on to the coat of the animal, that will be much stronger, you'll see. And I would suggest you do it like I am at the moment. Don't press too hard to start off with. I'm going to come down a little stronger on that edge, like that. Like that. And again, the transition, now it's not so, you can see it doesn't come out quite so far now, just on that edge. And in here, it's the same idea. On top of the grey, remember. On top of that other area. Once again, being quite light with my stroke gives me the colour I want. Now this is not a colour I've added, it's a colour I've left as the pastel paper colour. Now if you're using a different colour pastel paper, you won't be able to do that. But that's, I think you'll agree, quite straightforward. But I do want the colour shaper again coming in and again aiding the transition between that and that. Now I am interfering with the white hairs, but you will see in a tick or two that will be taken care of. In fact, what we can do is just bring this slightly further over, because we're going to put some white back on here. We can afford to be just a little more contrast right on the edge of it, if that is a good idea. Like that. Another thing you can do is, if you've got one of these and you can pick up some of the colour, you see I've picked up the colour on there, and you can use that quite successfully to just add a whisper, I said whisker then, that's because I'm thinking of cats. Just a whisper of colour like that. You see how nice that's looking? Right, now I'm now going to come back in with the black, but I'm going to make it a little stronger. What I'm going to do is actually turn this round. Why are you doing that, Cole? Well, the reason is you want to use the natural angle of your hand. In this case, it's like that, instead of going up like that. So it gives me an opportunity to show you how we can now use the point of the black just to give ourselves a stronger edge to that. And I should be doing that everywhere I've got the strong black line on it. And when I turn it around, you'll see quite a difference. There you go. Good. Now that's lovely. Now, what we can now do is we can bring the white back. Just come back in here, because we may have interfered with this edge. And if we have, we want to bring it back again. So that looks good to me. And then we can use the point of the pencil to put the hairs in. Again, turn it round. Let's turn this round as well so you can see both. And we then, this time, we are going to press a little harder, because I want to put the hairs in like that. They can come back that way as well, so that it looks as though it's much coming from the stronger areas. That's a little bit more, you can see that's just an emphasis of white. Now, if you're working from a reference picture, it's a good idea to try to keep in touch with that as well. And I wouldn't do any more, I'd leave that alone. So let's turn it back the other way, and I think you'll agree that that is good representation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way across here, across there, and doing exactly the same thing. There's no need for me to talk anymore because basically I've showed you what I'm going to be doing there, and it's repeated all the way through here. So, but I'll show you little bits of that as we go along. Now I've come back in because I want to just explain to you what I'm doing now. Remember I did say it's important to work in direction of the fur or the hair. Well, you can see now how I'm going to be doing this. I'm going back into the white, but I'm going to bring the white back again over the top of this later. So I can afford to be just a bit bold with my black, but not too bold. And what I'm doing is working in the direction that I see the hair lying in. You can do your best here to try to emulate what you've got there, but you're never going to be exact. You've got to rely really on the white going back in again when we're ready. This is where the fur changes direction. Why is this important? Well, you'll see when you see the end product, you'll be able to see my pencil strokes. And if you were to do that, and do that, and do that, and so go, that's what you'd see. It's painstaking, but it is worth it. Just make sure you've got that transition between that and that. Okay, that's good. Let's just do that a little bit. Nice continuity now. Now I won't do the other side, but I'm going to do all of this side for you to show you how we do it. Now, once again, though we're using grey and we're using black, we've still got, remember, the sand-coloured paper underneath this, just as I showed you previously. So that sand-coloured paper is also having an influence. And if you look at the picture, it's not actually dead black. It's got that sandy look to the grey or the black. And it's a great asset to have paper that gives you that advantage. Just come in. I can't do very much of this. I haven't finished down there. But that'll be the next thing I'm going to show you. So we come into there, and I've done a lot of animals in my time, so I kind of know how the hair lies on them. Because when you've got a dark animal list, you can't readily see it. If it's a tabby cat, you would be able to. You see the strokes much more clear. But with a black cat, you can't so easily. So you have to do what I'm doing. Painstakingly put it in like you see me, filling it up, gradually working across so that up here you're going straight, and then you're coming across here, across here, across here until you get to there, when you're coming almost horizontal. When you get down here, we'll be doing that kind of stroke, but that's coming. Now, having done that, what I would do in this instance is use the colour shaper. Exactly the same idea there. Don't deviate it, don't go that way or this way or every which way. Use the same strokes as you did with the pencil. Now you should now be able to see that fur lying in the direction that I intended it to. But there are, and if you look at this you can see, there are certain areas of the fur that's a little darker than others. Now what I'm going to do now is switch it, turn the colour shaper over because I want to do it the other way. If I'd used this side, it would have been putting the black on. But using this side, you can see what's happened. The transition is much, much better. Got it? Anyway, now what I was saying, some of these areas are darker than others, so you can go back in with the black again and just pick out areas that you can see on the reference picture. I can see this darker, It's a little darker, a little bit darker around there, although I haven't got that bit yet. But another coat is not a bad idea. And what I'll do then, I won't show you this because it's exactly the same, only in reverse as this. And we can move on. And the next thing I'm going to show you will be coming down around the eyes. Why not the eyes, Cole? Well, I work my pictures most of the time doing a surround of the eye areas so that I can have a better idea when it comes to filling it in. That looks good, doesn't it? It's going to look better with the whiskers. Or, you know, I can't put those in yet. Well, I can, but I choose not to. Now, just up here, what I'll do is come back in with the white and just put just a little bit more white in there, representing this top area of the cat, where the lights, it's like catching, like that. Got it? That's going to look great when it's finished. So I'm going to do the other side now, and then I'll show you the surround of the eye, which is really interesting. I know the eyes are going to be fascinating, but this area here too looks weird before the eyes are put in, but once the eyes go in, oh gosh, I can't wait. Now we've got the around the eyes to sort out. What I'm doing is using the grey pencil just to outline both eyes. And I'm going to put the light on. I'm just being very careful here because you don't want to crush the eye. It's so easy to make them too small. So I've just gone around the outside like that. Okay, let's do the other one, the other side. I'm going to, once I finish this, I shall put the white on. There we are. Good. I'm just thinking, I'll change my mind, I think, on this. I'll just use the grey just to do the edge where it meets the white fur. Sometimes when you're doing a picture, you work instinctively, and you'll see what I mean. Well, you're looking at this, you see, the same as I am. So you can see that what's happening is just putting it's not as even as you'd expect, but pretty well. Yes, it's quite, let's come down the outside edge. I'm sorry my narration's a little bit spasmodic. The reason is that I'm concentrating on getting it right. I think that looks to me to be about right. Okay, now the white. Now the reason I said that I would put the white on because it's easier to cut in with the dark colours than it is to cut in with the white. If I made a mistake, or no, not so much a mistake, if I wanted to alter the shape, the lighter colours, it'd be easier to do it with the black than it would be to the white. I think you'll probably understand that. And I'm going to do the same thing again as I did with the grey. I'm just going to outline this. It is actually very, very important to get the right colour tone in the right place there. I mean, it's not as critical as it would be if it was you were doing somebody else's animal. Then you'd have to be exact here. It only matters that you're seeing how I'm interpreting. But if I can change it slightly, because it's no one's animal. They're not going to be fussy. See the idea? Now, I won't bore you and show you the whole thing, but you've got the idea of that. Now, what I shall do then is, again, it's always worth working in the direction that we see the hair lying in. Even though when you look at that, you can't distinguish the hair very easily, but it does make a difference. So I shall carry on with that. I'll go down, probably I'll skirt the nose. I won't actually reach it. I'll just show you where as far as I'm going to go there, because what I want to put in is the eyes. So I shall do that, and I'll come down to about there. Don't think we need to come any further down, because the black will take over again down here. Like that. And then, and once I've done that, we put the black in. And again, working in that third direction. Let's do a little bit of this, and then I can get on and show you little sections of this before we tackle the eyes. But you'll notice all the time I'm concentrating on the angles and the direction of the hair of the cat. And I'll follow that once I finish it with the black on top. Okay, so got this to do, and then we'll come back and look at the put the black on, and then we'll tackle the eyes. Now for the eyes. First thing we do is put the light in the eye. I'm going to put one on the other side, although I've gone really close up here. You can't see the other eye, but I think I'll do it so that you can see where I'm going. It's a slightly different position. Move that one over, but I've had to come close, so we're only going to do the one eye. Next colour we haven't used yet, is Ivory. Now this is a ochre eye, as you can see, so we need a suitable base colour, and Ivory is ideal for this. Now I'm going to deliberately leave the very dark pupil of the eye for the moment. Now this is another technique that you'll see me use a lot if you look at more of my work. It's a round circular movement. It actually pushes in colour into the paper and leaves no streaks, very smooth. Now I'm going to have to darken the eye quite considerably up here, but we've still got to put the ivory in. And here I can perhaps overdo the size of the eye, because we can cut in with the darker colours. And this is where we can start making a few adjustments. That looks just about right to me. Now I'm going to use this is unusual, I haven't done this before, but I think in this case I'm using the very dark green. This is 173. For the round base colour for the pupil. I'm also making the pupil just a little bigger than it is on here. You see, it's just to barely see it. There we are, that'll be great. Now, next colour is going to be the ochre. This is 183. Same idea as with the ivory, round circular movements. I'll stop halfway and you can see how this is working. You see that? If you put the ochre on its own, it would have been too dark. You need the light colour underneath to put it's a base colour I call it, but it's a backlight in it. Now looking at the reference picture, you see this is too bright. So we need to calm it down. And with that, we need the grey, 273. And again, I'll stop halfway and you can look at the eye that I'm showing you. And I think you'll agree now that that is pretty close to this in colour. But you wouldn't have believed it, would you, if I hadn't shown you the base colours. So although it's ochre, I wanted to subdue that. So let's continue with that. Still the same circular movement. Not pressing hard. Now I can see that what we've got to do is change this. Come back in with the black now. We can afford to be a little bit more adventurous now. Shape the eye better. bring in the black. Barely. That line is very, very thin. You can actually make it just a little thinner if you want. I don't think I need to, but if you did overdo that, you can use the white back again and bring it back. Still don't like this bit, so let's carry on. The dark colour is determining the shape. And there's a shadow in the eye as well. But before I do the shadow, let's do black on top of the green, which gives us the pupil. As I say, this is being made up because it's not representative of that. But that doesn't matter. Another colour, which I haven't used yet, and I'm going to use now, is 175. Now, I'm hardly going to use this at all in this picture, but there are places, and this is one of them. I want to darken that. I could use the black, but that would have been too fierce. So 175 is a very dark sepia. And this will change the dynamics of the eye considerably, as you can see. And down there on the other side, coming down. I'm now closely following what I see on the reference picture. And that can follow down here as well. Very light touch. The pastel matte paper that I'm using is very responsive. You don't have to be very strong, and you don't have to use a lot of pressure. And that's coming up really well. However, now we need to come back in with the black, and now we can be bolder, because now I can see what I need to do there. And I think I'm just going to extend just a little bit more ochre on that edge there. And then I'm going to come back in with the green. This is 173 again, what I used in the eye to start with. And I'm going to put some green in with the 175, just to change the tone of the shadow just a little. And in a minute, I'm going to put some ivory back in. Just come down there. We're mixing the colours now together. 175, and a little bit of green, and that can come into the eye as well. Now, there are other colours which I'm going to add, not necessarily because I can see them, just for effect. And one of them is this one. Now, this is 186. It's got just a little touch of its browny ochre colour. Very, very attractive, as you can see. I don't think I need any more of that. It was just a touch. A bit more white. And just a shade more of the 175, just to darken that just a little more. It's best to go in increments. Don't try to do everything all at once. And finally a bit of black. I say finally, we're going to be putting some some whiskers on over there in a minute, as you can see. Make a big difference. Now, if you're brave enough, you can just flick the white into the black. Gives it a nice little touch. And now that's pretty much done. Now, I'm going to pull back now. You can have a look at it, but it looks pretty good, and I think I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to do the other one. Now, the other one, I won't spend a lot of time on it. You've already seen the colours that I've used, so I will show you little sections of that as we go along. And that's got most of it done now. I'm just using the 175 just to darken putting the shadows in. Come down the edge, I think, as well. And in here, I think this particular eye is more in shadow than the other one. It may pay me just to very lightly darken that eye completely. You can see now I've done it, you can see how much darker it is on the reference picture. But you've got to be careful. Very light touch. That's good. You can hardly see anything at all up here. No, hardly any definition. So I'm going to bring the black down a little more as well. Like that. Let's put the pupil in a little more. Now, use a green. This is what I did before on the other eye, but it just mixes with the 175. Great. I don't think I really want to do too much more to that. 106 I used here, and this is this ochre tone. I can't necessarily see it in the picture, but I've used it before on other pictures and it works well. And that's good. Now, I've got to do the same as what I did with this. Remember I cut in here? Well, I'm going to do the same with that. Just cut in the white a little bit. Shapes the eye, that's that little bit better. And then with the black, just that in as well. Good. The light as well. Now, I did say I was going to use some ochre, and I haven't used it yet. Well, I have. I've just started here. An ochre. I'm sorry, ivory. You just put ivory in. Ivory is a fantastic blender, I've found, with other projects. So just very lightly touching it in, you can see how much I've lightened that eye up. Can do the same with this one, but not quite as much. Still use it, as I say, like a blender, but very, very light, just on this edge. You can just see, just on that edge there. There we are. And there is the eyes done. So, next job is to bring the light down. Now, this is, as you can see, it's white, 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 white. So how are we going to distinguish it? Well, if you look at this, you can see there's some shading, and that's what we're going to be doing. Now, you've got to be careful because you'll lose the lines if you're not careful when you bring the white down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that area first. Ignore the nose for the moment. We'll be coming back into that. Just cut round it like that. It's very attractive. You'll find this. Now I'm coming down and I'm doing this bit, so follow me. It's a bit disjointed, and but it's the only way I can show you how to put this in. White and black animals are notoriously difficult. If you've got a tabby cat, it's a bit easier because you've got different tones and different colours. Now I'm going to follow this through like this. To join up with that. I'm not going to do the top though, just yet. There's nothing worse when you're doing a picture and you lose it. Oh, now where do I go? Because the colours have all obscured your reference. And I think I can afford to probably link that up there. That's it. And then leave that. Now this is the bit you can just about make out, I think, what I've done there with the pencil. But what I do is this. I leave a shadow. Not a shadow, it's the paper coming through. And then to the bottom, like this. Now you may find that you want to do it differently to me, and that's fine. But I've done this a few times and I know that you've got to be so careful not to lose your reference. Got it? So using that there, and that can be filled in a little later on. There's another area here, just there, coming down here. So let's do that too. Now I'm going to follow that line that cuts into, put my finger in so you can see what I'm looking at. Comes down here and then links up there. But if you were to carry on, you'd lose a line that I've got there. So what we come down is the other side of that line. I won't bore you and show you the other side because once you've seen this side done, you know where I'm going. Now I've got to be careful here because we're going to run into there. So I skirt around that, leaving the paper showing through. Now, having done that and showed you that, I can now do the nose as well. Same idea, just very lightly go on top of the nose here, which is going to be pink with your white. Once you've done that, you can then fill it in. And once again, you're left with the nose in all its glory. But surely there must be some shadows in here. Well, yes, and this is what I'm going to show you next. I'll leave this for the moment, but I shall do that the same way as I've done that. Looks a bit weird, I know. But, and as I say, if you can find another way of doing it, do it. But be prepared to lose your picture and think, oh my goodness, now what do I do? Now, what I want to show you now is we can use ivory and we can use grey. Let's pull that across a bit. You can't see them I'll pull back.